Hi, I'm Kamran Sheikh, and I was born in Lahore a few years ago. I always wanted to be an architect, always, and got slightly sidelined when I got into theater and production and drama and things, and then realized as I grew up that in a family like mine, you couldn't do things of that nature. You had to be either a civil servant or join the army or something of that sort. And then I lied to my parents and said that I'm going for architecture. Actually, I was going to become a theater actor. And the frustration of that is what makes me tick, the frustration of that. And I went abroad and couldn't afford architecture, so I studied hospitality instead because I wanted to stay there, and realized a few years later that I was so involved with the hospitality end of it that I got more and more further. And doing my master's, finished in HRI, which is Hospitality, Restaurants, International, whatever. That time didn't come to my mind that I wanted to come back into architecture because I'd gotten so far into psychology and hospitality, an odd mixture. But the grandness of Miami Beach and the fantastic ideas that I had in my mind looking at those huge hotels coming from Intercontinental Karachi and looking at the Fontainebleau is a tremendous mind mixing item. You really don't realize how big and huge, and many of them they were there. So I got involved with that. I came back to this country again, we had done many restorations, and we had changed a lot of dead projects into very successful ones, and they involved design and a bit of architecture came in. And America is a bit different in design than here. We put up a building in 22 days. Here I think it's 22 months or something like that. And then when I came back, I wanted to do a project here and realized that my architect who I had hired had an interior designer which he had hired for the project. And I was not interested to do the design or the architect, but I knew what I wanted. And so everybody came into it. Wasif was the architect, Wasif Ali Khan was the architect, and his interior designer was Ghazala Rahman. And that was her first project and Wasif's one big first project. So I remember I used to keep on scribbling, and I'm not very bad at scribbling. I used to keep on scribbling on the walls, that sort of a thing. And ended up doing the interiors of the first project I had. But I wanted to keep it under wraps. I didn't want to be an interior designer, interior decorator. I didn't want to be, because over here, the concept of interior design was taken a little negatively. They thought it was a woman's job, not a man's job. I don't agree with that at all, but they thought it was a woman's job. So that was the first project. A lot of other my associates took credit for it. I can't name them. Took credit for it, and 10 years later, somehow, it all came back. Everybody discovered that, oh shoot, that I had done it. And that's how it began. You just explained it for me in a few words. Design philosophy. It depends on whether it's architecture, hospitality, or interior design. All design philosophies, I don't have a specific one. I like to generate all kinds of philosophies, from eclectic to modern to contemporary. I'm not a very comfortable person with traditional and old-fashioned values. So I look at more of a contemporary and modern approach. It depends on the project, I think, very much. Comfort, and depending on if you're working on an airline interior or the aesthetics of the airline, there's not much you can do with that. You're more interested in developing the aesthetics on other areas, such as not an airport, wherever there's a travel time and wherever there's a lot of mileage to be covered, it becomes a little complicated. But I think comfort does make a difference. And then sometimes aesthetics, it depends on the visuals that you're doing, and how long are those visuals for you. Because aesthetics is great if you can do it for a short time and you can keep it there. And modernity is extremely important in today's world. Extremely important. That is what the direction should be, I think. I think the extensive experience, perhaps, and the mix of several items and mix of several disciples, rather, that I do. For instance, if I do hospitality design, I know the back of the house, and I think one of the only ones, perhaps there might be another person in this country, that would be doing from the design to the architecture to the food. I'm talking about hospitality, food to the service to the kitchen. So that sets me apart a bit. Most architects don't learn the technique of how to do hospitality spaces, and they're definitely not at all inclined towards understanding the back of the house, which is the kitchen design and how it operates and so on. So I think I have a slightly little edge there. Frank Lloyd inspires me a lot, and till today has inspired me a great deal. And many other architects have inspired me, many. But I think that, again, like I mentioned Zaha Hadid earlier, in the new world, I think that she's the most inspirational for me. I look at her work and I feel, gosh, how could this ever be, but it's there and it's real. And that is the beauty of good work, where you can just sort of take you in awestruck. What do I want to be remembered for? I want to be remembered as the pioneer of hospitality in this country. Because I think when I was growing up, which was many hundred years ago, this country was very developed. The people were modern, and we had less fear of Islam and religion, and it was very forward sort of going. I'm talking about the 60s. And then it's all changed now, it's become something completely different. And I wish that restarting it up, I came in '84 from the States, and restarting it up today, I feel that there's a lot happening, although it's very premature and immature. But I think eventually when things start happening like that, they'll eventually get somewhere where we can be on the world stage. Now with the CPAC and the rest of it coming up, I guess that we need to get our strengths into the, specifically, like I said, I'm very sort of involved with hospitality, and then I wish that we can come up with that eventually, and that would be what I would like to be remembered by. My signature style depends on the environment that I'm producing, and the requirements also of that particular project. In hospitality, it varies a lot, which I specialize in, and in architecture, I think it also varies a lot. You can go all forms, all directions. I don't think anyone takes on a project to be more descriptive about themselves rather than the project itself.